it wasn't just, oh, I'm looking after someone during daytime hours. It's like having a newborn baby, 2, 3, 4 times every night. And so it took her a long time to physically recover from that. But I don't think she'd ever say she was relieved. It's a dead center. Welcome, Davina Barua. I've had the pleasure of knowing Davina for a very, very long time. And today she has kindly agreed to come onto the show to talk to us about growing up with a father who was quite a lot older and quite unwell for most of her childhood. So welcome, Davina. Thank you. You were one of 3 children. Yes. But you were considerably younger than your 2 sisters. Yep. And we'll come back to that a little bit later on, but if we could just put some kind of context in. So when we met in the town that we grew up in. We met through mutual friends. And the first time I came to your house, I was aware that it was a very different setup to other people's homes because your dad was by then quite poorly and in bed with your mother nursing him. So I wonder if you would just tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, if I say no, that just kills everything. Yeah. Thanks very much for coming.
I thought we were just having tea.
Yeah. So he was always in bed when all of my friends came around in my teenage years. So we moved to Henley in 97. So when I was 13. And the aim at that point was my parents were looking at retiring, sold a business, moved back to Henley, and just have a lovely sort of like casual retirement.
Let's just give that some context. You're 13.
Yep.
But your parents are looking at retiring. So
Yes.
Your parents are quite a bit older then.
Yes. My dad was 50 when I was born, and my mom was 40, which when I was growing up, kids would tease me about.
Because she was older?
Because my dad was older.
Okay.
Until I then worked out, I was like, hold it on. My dad was older and had me. And I realised that was actually quite an impressive thing as opposed to
absolutely.
sort of like being like, yeah, come round to see my really old grey-haired parents. But yeah, so he was 50. So yes, they'd sold this business, looking at retiring into Henley. But relatively quickly to moving into Henley, his health deteriorated quite a bit. He was Indian, and he was a classic traditional British Indian. So really fixated on being British, would wear tweed, really sort of like proud of moving to the UK and taking part in everything culturally that England had, including 2 wives, 2 English wives, not at the same time. We'll come on to that. Oh my God, yeah, my father had separate wives at different times, as opposed to
including that tradition that English people have.
Yeah,
2 wives.
2 wives. There were just wives everywhere when I was growing up. There was not. There was just 1 wife. At any one time. What a tangent we've gone down.
Have a tangent, darling.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So, yeah, he was very traditional, but also very traditional about stiff upper lip, not talking about being poorly, not telling us about anything that was going on. So it was only when he started getting poorly and my mum was able to sort of unpick a little bit in terms of, well, actually, was he just going to the cash and carry or was he going to the doctors?
So was it explained to you then?
No. Oh, nothing was explained to me. Nothing.
Because you were a child?
Oh,
13, though, you're kind of a young adult, aren't you, by then?
Yeah, no, it was more like literally.
Or was he just so proud he didn't want anybody to know?
That. He was so proud that he was just trying to deal with it himself. And also their entire sort of like parenting strategy was almost need to know. So there was a lot of things that I wasn't told. It took me quite a while to realise that our first cats didn't go to a farm.
Okay.
A long time.
Right. Is that the first outtake for Davina? On the little blooper.
And things like when you're talking to sort of like your children around sort of like development, that sort of. I got a book. I got a little paperback book that my mum gave me and was like, here you go.
That's what's going to happen to you. Read it.
Yep.
Wow.
Off you go. Yeah.
So that was puberty for you in a paperback?
In a paperback. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily,
So they weren't very
you worked out
open.
yourself, didn't you?
But I
With the,
suppose
aid of, with the aid of a few good-looking boys, everything was fine.
I carried that book around with me. Hello.
Hang on a minute, this is second base. That's
Yeah.
not agreed.
So it was pride, it was sort of like cultural, it was sort of like you bring up and raise your children a certain way.
How interesting that they gave you a book about that, but didn't think to even approach the fact that your dad was poorly in the same way. It was that again, just the pride thing. It was just a
I probably didn't know how to deal with it though.
Yeah, I don't know if there is I don't know if there would be a book for sort of like all the stuff that he had, but
because it was important. This is one of my next questions actually, as it comes along well. But I know he suffered with lots of different things over the years, and so what was the start?
So the start was, as is quite sort of like, it's quite prevalent in the Southern Asian community. Angina, diabetes, high blood pressure. Yeah, all of those sorts of things. So it started with high blood pressure and some cholesterol issues. That then led to needing a bit of medication, certain procedures, and all of this sort of like mum found out about some of the stuff he'd been having after we'd moved. And then he got to the stage where he was so poorly, she had to be involved.
So was he keeping it from her as well?
Yeah. He was just going off, having a little procedure done.
I think a lot of the time people who have like high blood pressure, they think it is to do with stress, or people will think I'm stressed out. They don't necessarily equate it to like a westernized lifestyle or the way we eat or the lack of exercise or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're almost embarrassed of it. And they hide it, especially men.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's the other problem. Being a man as well, of a certain age, you just crack on and deal with stuff. It was unfortunate that obviously him developing and becoming poorer and poorer also led to him being sort of like outwardly grumpier and grumpier as well. So then we moved, and then the first big thing he had that he needed to have done was he had a triple heart bypass.
And that's a massive operation.
That's a massive operation. So he went into Coventry University, Coventry Hospital for that, had that done. And generally, from what I understand, they normally work quite well. His didn't work in the same way because, again, from what I've been told as an adult, rather than when it was all going on, was that whilst they were doing that, he had some complications. So he came out of hospital not with sort of like that new lease of life and everything's sorted out and I've got all these new things around my heart and everything's great. But actually, I now have a number of chronic conditions that have to be managed and treated and supported because of that operation.
And now my outlook is bleak.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
And I don't know. I've wondered this as an adult, how long he would have survived if it hadn't been for how my mum looked after him. Because my mum she's at the next level. She threw herself into caring for him. So if the starting point is 97 being when we moved to Henley, bypass was in and around 98. He didn't die until 2010. And she, other than the last 3 months where he went into the care home, I nearly gave it another nickname then, when we were talking about it. I went into a care home, a nursing home.
What the nickname was.
Yeah, it's one of many things. Went into the nursing home. She looked after him with, I think, maybe 1 or 2 weeks tops through that entire period. She cared for him at home.
I mean, she was beyond dutiful, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was essentially, she just nursed him.
Yeah.
At home.
Full time by herself.
Yeah.
Not a nurse, just everything that needed to be done, read up on it, was all over his care plan, just supported him. Started off with him being upstairs. And then I can't remember when he came downstairs, but had his hospital bed in the living room. And by that point, I'd moved out. But yeah, just cared for him.
What an amazing woman.
Yeah, she honestly took those vows in sickness and in health. And she didn't, because they got married 78, 77-ish. She didn't get like a lot of their marriage as being fun and enjoyable. And, you know, she got a period where things were good, a period where he was very secretive about his health and started just being grumpy and angry, and then a period where he was just really, really poorly. So she didn't exactly, it wasn't like, you know, you see some,
Wedded bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
some, you know,
Get any
of
of those
people.
golden years then?
No, and all the stuff they did in terms of however long they'd worked and everything that they'd saved for, and, you know, hoping to have this sort of like retirement of at least being able to do a bit more. She got none of that. Instead, she just cared for him for a long, long time.
Sad, really, isn't it?
Really sad.
Yeah.
And we did touch on this earlier a little bit, but I want to just come back to it. So did you find that having parents that were older, and particularly as Dad's illness progressed, were you treated differently by your peers? Or was there a stigma attached to it in any way? Or like you said, actually, your perception of it at that time was that your dad was older and fair play to him? You know, what did you experience from other people?
So when I was little and people would tease you about certain things, and they'd tease you about having an older dad, but that's just little kids. I don't think there was any sort of element of stigma. I mean, you could probably comment, did you stigmatise me when we were teens?
You know me, I'm a horrible person.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I just think that we were probably aware. And also we went in to visit him. Your mum always made it the case that we'd go in, and although he was quite non-verbal, really,
Acknowledge him.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She always made it part of your routine in your childhood, and for your friends to see what was happening.
Yeah.
It was never hidden away or anything like that, which I think actually a lot of people probably would do, especially in our culture.
And I think as well, with the friends that I had then and still have, I think I was just really fortunate, because all of your parents, I think, must have understood and were very lovely and caring to me as well. Because I remember I was, especially as a teenager, until the wilderness years, as we'll call them, when I just went a bit crazy, I was at all of your houses most of the time. I mean, if you like you Emma, sorry, you Emma. Oh God, I've got stuck in, like, I'm just going to say you Emma now for about edit this. Wendy, Shell. You know, if you think about sort of like that core of friends, all of your parents just sort of like semi-adopted me. I mean, I was at Wendy's house every Christmas day, every year, because ours wasn't really very Christmassy, because it was just another day of my mum caring for my dad. So everyone just was very gracious and lovely. And I think now, now making me think about it as an adult reflecting on it, we would know, wouldn't we? We would know with our kids,
Yeah, absolutely.
if there was a child who maybe had some slightly different home circumstances, and you just sort of like absorb them and be like, well, come
You
from
become our
us.
family.
Also, just, you know, we think about like teenagers. When we think about teenagers, there's a horrible kind of, the teenagers, the vile and all the rest. But actually, that's not true. I think it's definitely a product of parenting. And when we were teenagers, we probably had our ups and downs. But for the most part, if you're taught to understand and you're taught to be kind, then that's how you'll grow up to be, isn't it? You know,
Absolutely.
and I think what a nice thing to be able to say about a friendship group at that time.
And are you still friends with them all? I mean, I know you don't like Emma, but
Yeah, they're all dead to me. No,
You're on the right place.
Yeah. Yeah, like if I think about it, like, yeah, pretty much every friend I've got from that time period whose parents were like that with me, I'm still friends with all of them.
yeah,
And I'm
lovely.
still friends with all of their
Yeah,
parents.
it's a very
Yeah.
staple part of your life, isn't it? It's a very kind of integral part of what you're growing up. So would you say that you were a happy child and a happy adolescent? I know that you had times that were difficult. I know that. But overall, were you happy? Or do you think, you know, again, reflecting as an adult?
No, I don't think I was. God, it's a really tricky question. No, I don't think I was particularly happy. And there was a whole host of reasons for that. And I was thinking about this in the car on the way over because I also spent quite a bit of time with, what was her name in Redditch? That wonderful lady you put me in contact with. Norma. Yeah. So I probably spent 6 months or a year going to Norma just before, a few years before my dad died. Because tail end of his life, on top of the heart attacks and the strokes, and obviously I'd had the triple heart bypass, then heart attacks and strokes happened, then the TIAs, because they were laughing between big strokes. You want the little ones, don't you?
Absolutely.
They
You
just,
don't want to miss out.
no, have all the strokes, please.
Yeah.
And then that unfortunately caused vascular dementia. She's a laugh as well.
Oh, Jesus, that list is so long.
And vascular dementia is particularly not nice.
No,
I mean, no dementia is nice, but
yeah. So there was a lot of things that as an adult, and I've reflected on, were probably caused by my dad's deteriorating health that he wasn't talking about, but he was quite angry and his temper was very short. And unfortunately, I think I'm in some ways quite similar to him, but having sort of like a bouncy, sort of like, I was going to say who's vivacious, but having someone, it's a teenager who is just quite bouncy and vivacious and wants to, and just enjoying it and wanting to, just have fun and just and then sort of like someone like that, and then someone who is poorly and just feeling shit and just has no tolerance for that. There was quite a lot of conflict between me and my dad.
It's a massive clash, isn't it?
Massive. And he was always just, I remember him as being just angry than poorly. And so once he became really poorly and my mum just needed more help, that was just initially really tricky, because part of me was like, I don't want to fucking help him. I don't like him. And we don't he's an angry, not very nice man to me. I don't like him. But at the same time, my mum needs me and he needs me. And the right thing to do is help and support my mum with all of this, because it's big and shitty now. So I spent probably, like I said, 6 months to a year going to Norma every week and just working through that frustration that I had, a lot of anger and resentment towards him in the way that he'd behaved towards me. And now that he had dementia, he had no recollection of it. And when they've gone through the initial, it happened really quickly. So very quickly, his dementia was such that he was sweet and little and gentle and helpless. And yet I'm angry and frustrated and upset, but I can't talk to him about all of the feelings I've got about the way he was with me, because he isn't that man anymore. So we spent a lot of time talking about that and working through that and getting to a point where I was just able to help and be there to support my mom, and it be fine and it not hurt me and eat me up and just, so
this counselling, sorry to interrupt you, the counselling you had was after you left home. So, but your dad was still with us at this point, but had gone so downhill, had the vascular dementia at this point. So that counselling at that point helped you be involved in his care then?
Yeah. And I was also getting to a point where so late teens, I was always in trouble. I was always getting told off. Nothing I could do was right.
When you say you had these years where you were rebellious for whatever, yeah, you were, but you weren't a horrible person. You might have been angry, but you were never outwardly awful to any other humans or anything like that.
I would hope not. I probably was. I'm probably one person who, if they were listening to this and be like, yeah, she was a real shit. What a wanker. In the comments, she was a wanker. I dispute this tale that she's telling. But yeah, I was just really like, because I always got told off. I got to a point where I was just like, fuck this. I'm going to get told off and might as well do it.
People
So,
act up to what they're being criticised for, don't they?
yeah. If I'm going to get told off for anything, let's just do some stuff and let's make it worth it. Yeah, absolutely. And then that was sort of late teens, early 20s, angry. I think in hindsight, I feel like I was just self-destructive. And then it all sort of reached a point, and then Norma came into my life through Emma, and it was just really helpful to she just helped me not be a knob anymore, and also like not an angry knob, and then step up and deal with all the things that I couldn't say and I couldn't do with my dad, to be able to, like a normal person, sit down, work through stuff together, deal with that with Norma instead, so that then I can support and help and not be sat there with all the simmering resentment that I had towards him, but just accept that I had to let it go because there was no other way around it, unless I just wanted to just continue being a self-destructive knob forever.
And the only person you were hurting at that point was yourself?
Yeah.
Because he didn't care, because you didn't know?
He didn't know.
So you'd moved out, you'd started your counselling with Norma, which was being really effective. You know that possibly without that intervention of counselling, or all of us know that you need external help, whether it's a friend, whether it's a professional, whatever. What advice might you give to somebody? So you went to Norma while Dad was still alive, but in a state of quite a lot of anger, resentment. These are the words that you've used. If we've got any younger listeners who are in a similar position to you, where they've got an older parent who is acutely unwell, what advice would you give to them now?
I honestly think talk to people about how you're feeling, because the worst thing for me is, and probably lots of people, is bottling it up and pushing it down, because at some point those feelings have to come out. And rather than just, up until that point with Norma, my default mechanism for any sort of feelings would bury them as deep as possible and hope that they were all right down there. And then unfortunately at some point that would all sort of blow up. So it would be just talk to people around you. There will be people who could be going through something similar, could have experience of something similar, might just offer you a bit of guidance or support, but just talk about how you're feeling.
And do you think now, compared to when we were younger, you were younger, do you think now people are, we're coming around to it a bit more? So Carrie and I are doing this podcast. This is her baby, it's her idea, because we want to normalise conversations around death, dying, grief, all the shit that has brought a lot of people to be in exactly that position you're talking about. I've bottled it up. I feel bad about it. It's made me poorly. It's made me angry. It's done all these things. Do you feel now that we are, culturally moving in the right direction, where those conversations are easier to have? Or do you think we're still kind of stuck?
I think things are improving, but I still think it's a massive taboo. So what you're doing and how you're talking to people, for a lot of people, creates probably that's like, we can't talk about anxiety. Yeah. I can only talk about sort of like what I do in my little world, but with Constance, we talk about death in a really open way, because I don't want fuck her up in the same way that I was fucked up. I'll fuck her up in a different way that I haven't even.
That's your right, parent.
Carrie.
Yeah, it'll be something I haven't thought of.
How you want to like.
Yeah, but it won't be about death. She's really
really well versed about death.
Yeah.
And also puberty, because we're not doing that.
Oh God, yeah. But yeah, so again, because my family's a bit older and various people within the family have died, I've been quite open in talking to her about it. And although she's only 6, the way that I've explained to her how death works at the moment is people wear out. Your body wears out. So at some point in the future, your body will wear out and you will die. Generally, people wear out when they're old. So the older you get, the more likely it is that your body will wear out and you will die. She did then ask me roughly what age that is at, because she asked me when my body is going to wear out, and then I panicked slightly and told her I was going to live to 100.
Wow.
So
You're hopeful, girl.
I mean, you're pretty fit and healthy there.
yeah, that's why I train so much. So I'm like, I've got to make 100. So if there was a little point in her life where she was asking people how old they were, and then trying to work out based on that 100 marker at what point would they die, and sharing that information with them, which was probably a little bit too far the other way in terms of openly talking about it. Because if she met someone,
like a little death calculator. How old are you? Oh, you've got 6 years left.
yeah,
Coming along with a grim reaping equipment. Guys, don't worry, I got this.
yeah, well, she'd meet someone in their 80s and be like,
Oh, you ain't got long left.
"Ooh,
Sweetheart.
yeah,
Constance, no.
yeah, let's
Oh,
rein
no,
it in a little bit."
bless her.
But I don't want
It's their little brain, isn't it?
Very exactly what I was
Working
gonna
out.
say, yeah.
Okay, well, how long have you got then? Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
And then when we talked about sort of like if people die sooner, I said to her, well, sometimes people get poorly, and if they get really poorly, that speeds up the wearing out process. So
You ever thought about penning a children's book? This is really good stuff.
how do people die? The kids.
Yeah.
By Davina Barua.
Yeah.
And you could do a teenage novel about it. And
I'll
you
just-
won't you?
Well, I could do How Do People Die by Davina Barua, and then just do a little puberty section at the end,
Yeah.
just in case your parents aren't
Okay.
telling you.
How do people die? Body wears out. Here's some puberty.
Yeah. Let's talk about periods. So because we'd obviously had sort of like, I'd talked to her about her auntie Angela, because she's, one of her middle names is Angela, and that's my sister who passed away. I explained that Auntie Angela got really poorly, and that then meant, unfortunately, her body wore out quicker, and then she died. So she's quite, she understands that as a concept, and I think that's good enough for a 6-year-old at this moment in time. She's quite matter of fact about it. She will be quite blunt sometimes in terms of when she talks to people who have had people die, but it's not because she's being horrible. She's just quite open about talking about it. And I don't want her to be that taboo of someone's died and it's all very hush hush, and she doesn't
And look,
understand.
what world would we live in if we all did that?
Yeah.
If
Be
we
so
all did
much
that,
easier, wouldn't
we
it?
would be raising our little ones to be a generation of people who could talk about death.
And they're so funny sometimes, the way they say. I was talking to my friend today before I came, and her granddad's just passed away, and he was in a hospice, and she brought her little girl to see him, and she was stood at the end of the bed, and they were talking, and she was going, "Granddad, Granddad, Granddad, Granddad," trying to get his attention. He went, "What?" She went, "Are you going to die today?" And she was telling me, I mean, he's only just
Okay, I wish I had that on film. That was brilliant.
he's only just passed away a few weeks ago, and they've got his funeral tomorrow. But just out of the mouths of babes, isn't it? I mean, you couldn't write that. And then he told every single nurse in the hospice, and she was laughing about it and saying, like, everybody's been saying, Erin kept saying, "Granddad, you're going to die today." Do you know what I mean? So they're just so cute about it, aren't they? But to them, it's factual. It's matter of fact.
The last thing I want is for her to grow up with it being some big, scary mystery that then makes her afraid. And like, unfortunately, we've had quite a bit of death in our family. So I don't want her to grow up with that fear.
It's only us that's going to give them the taboo around it, isn't it? You know, I think it's wonderful what you're doing with her. Really do. And I think it's really difficult. I think, like you've just said, unless Harry obviously works in this field, but unless you are, you know, sadly you've had deaths in the family or deaths in your friendship groups, or you've been around it in a certain way, lots of people are ill prepared and therefore can't prepare their children for it. You know, and that perpetuates, isn't it? It's just another cycle. So I think, I mean, this is the message we want to get out there. If you've got young children, talk to them about it in a palatable way, like, you know, don't give them the whole thing.
Going back to when your dad passed away, how did you feel when he died? Considering like your sort of relationship had been sort of up and down.
And what age was he when he actually died?
So he was just shy of his 80th birthday. So he died.
So you'd almost a 20-year illness.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Wow.
And that's your mum, really, keeping him going.
Keeping him going. Yeah, 28th of September, and his birthday is 1st of October. So just shy of his 80th. I felt relieved for him because with dementia or Alzheimer's or any of these sort of illnesses, there are slivers still, even at the end, of lucidity. And that realization for that person, oh, I'm properly fucked here. And then it's almost like I don't know, their mind closes back down and it becomes the fog again. And so before he'd gone into the nursing home, he'd had a few of those where he'd said some stuff to me that was just not horrible stuff to me, but it was horrible stuff. So one time and it was partly because of the dementia, obviously, but one time he asked me to kill him with a hammer because he was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Can you kill me with a hammer? I can't. I can't. I just said, no, I can't. So I can't. I'm really sorry, but I can't.
And do you think, and I'm sorry if this is really hard and you don't have to answer, but do you think he felt like that for a long time?
I would suspect so. Because from what I know from my sisters have told me as well, when he was a young man, and the pictures I've seen, he really enjoyed living. He was in like the tennis club, because the tennis club in Henley, he used to play cricket.
How very British.
And also Indian.
Yes, brother.
And he was really sporty, really athletic. And again, from sort of like from what sisters told me, you know, they used to have like quite an active social group of friends, and they'd go out in Henley and go out for meals and just live. So there's an entire side of his life that I never knew, but also an entire side of his life where he had fun and was happy and enjoyed life. And to have done all of that and then just find yourself a prisoner of your own body and your mind,
right phrase, isn't it?
So my mum did such an amazing job looking after him, but did she do it too well? And would
nature of okay,
yeah,
that's a tough one. That's so morally, ethically tough, isn't it? Because had your mum not stepped up to that in the way she did, and it is unusual. There's not a lot of people who've got that capacity to do it. Then, and he would have gone into a system of some sort, whether that was within our care system, whether it was care in the community, whether it was care in a hospital, or would he have gone in with, you know, an infection and not made it? You know, there's all sorts of what ifs, isn't there? But if you've got somebody giving you 24-hour loving care as well, this is not just medical care, it's attentiveness, which is beyond anything any of us could really imagine, isn't it? Then you are probably going to extend that person's life considerably. And, you know, are you doing it for them? Are you doing it for you? Are you doing it out? Is it dutiful? It's so many what ifs, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's all of them. Yeah. She was very, you know, she is, but she's still alive, hopefully.
She was a few hours
yeah.
ago, so.
Yeah, she hasn't. Oh, yeah, live.
Takes the dirt track.
You want to call her on the Doro?
Yeah, check.
It's the dirt track. Did you just say?
This podcast does all the time.
Yeah, it's rank.
Yeah.
Do you think that you said that you were relieved for him when he died? Were you relieved for your mum as well?
Yeah.
Because she was like relieved of that duty then, really, wasn't she? And she could then start living her life.
Yeah.
I think she was relieved.
I don't think she'd ever think of it like relief. She was exhausted. So it took her probably 6 months to just not be exhausted, because it wasn't just oh, I'm looking after someone during daytime hours. It's like having a newborn baby. It was up a few times, 2, 3, 4 times every night. So it was like that level of care and that level of interruption and that level of stress and responsibility. And so it took her a long time to physically recover from that. But I don't think she'd ever say she was relieved.
She did get a new lease of life for a time, though, didn't she?
Oh, God, yeah. Before COVID came along and ruined all old people's lives forever with the fear-mongering about go outside and you'll die, after she'd sort of like got over everything, for years, I'd buy her train tickets and she'd tell me where she wanted to go and she'd take herself off for like a week to Llandudno or Bournemouth or go down to her sister and brother-in-law in Southampton and family down there. She'd take herself off over Christmas to go to various sort of like things.
Think that she'd done 20 years of care of your dad, which means for 20 years, in her twilight years, if you like, she wasn't going out. So to suddenly take on that, it's impressive.
And she was younger than him, wasn't she?
Yeah.
10 years younger.
10 years younger. So
she still had so much to give, didn't she? So much life to live, basically.
So as I said, until COVID hit, she was going out and doing various things and just enjoying being able to do stuff again, which was just really, really good for her. But she was pretty cool before she got married to my dad. Like she travelled, she lived abroad for work, she lived in London for a number of years. She did so much that probably wasn't as socially acceptable.
Well, she married your dad for a start at that time.
Yeah.
It was frowned upon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And married, like her parents just assumed she wasn't going to get married. She didn't get married till like mid-30s. By that point, I mean, she was over the hill, but also because she was adventurous and had gone off and done all this stuff when you were seen and not heard, and you were, you had very, very rigid gender roles at that point.
Just going to come back to your dad again. So prior to losing your dad, did you have much experience of death prior to that? So we've spent this whole interview talking about what it must be like growing up with somebody who's so poorly and sin, but actually you're then faced with that person dying, 20 years of illness and then suddenly a death and having to deal with that. Did you have any experience of anyone close to you dying prior to that?
No, not close, because his parents were already dead at the time I was born, so I didn't get to meet or know them. My mum's parents, my granddad died first and then my nan died. But again, they were a little bit removed because they lived in Southampton. And I think in the way that sort of like, I remember my granddad's funeral, but it wasn't because I was included in it. Where the family tends to have the Southampton family tend to have a lot of their church-based events. It's a little church, Hetty Green, up on a little hill, and then in the park across the road, there's swings. And so I spent the entire time with someone, I don't know who, can't remember who, but on the swings, on my granddad's. So I didn't get to be involved in any of that sort of like ritual or ceremony or anything like that. So no, it was something that had happened, but no real experience.
Oh, we haven't really talked about this, but I think it's a really important question. I know that your mom is quite a devout Christian and dedicated, obviously, a lot of her life to caring for your dad. But what's your faith? Do you have faith?
Yeah.
Believe in God?
I believe in God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a Christian.
And where does that sit with you? So we've talked about how you've been teaching Constance about how the body wears out, which is a brilliant analogy. It's great. Where do you stand then when we die? What do you think happens? Do you believe in heaven and hell?
Yes.
Believe that's what happens, and is that what you're teaching your daughter?
Okay, so I'd say there's two parts there. So I absolutely believe in heaven and hell. But what I'm teaching Constance is I'm not really teaching her anything about that at the moment because
Is she at a secular school?
no, she's at a Church of England school, but they're very open. So they do a lot of things across all religions. I was brought up as a Christian and it was imposed. So there's a period, and it was useful in some respects because going to, Sunday school just gives you a good, it gives you a load of information. So you got a load of learning in there. But I personally don't think you need to come to that decision by yourself, and you need to come to an understanding of what you believe and why you believe it and how you believe. I think yourself, as opposed to me telling Constance,
what to believe.
yeah, you're a Christian and this is what you should believe.
What does heaven look like for you? I mean, and I know it's quite a metaphorical thing, but do you, the idea of ascending into a godlike space in the sky, is that what you're looking at? Or is it meeting up with people you've lost previously? Is it, what's your...
I mean, I've got a slightly flippant answer. I'd fucking love to. I'd love to just ascend into the sky. But no. So I think personally, I think the route into heaven is you have to believe in God. You have to believe in Jesus. You have to accept Jesus as your Lord and Saviour. Sounds slightly like I'm about to go into sort of like, well, hey, evangelical craziness, but that's what I personally believe. So do I think that heaven is chock full of every person I know who's died? Unfortunately not. Would I want it to be? Yes, but my belief system is rooted in...
You still exist as the soul, so you, Davina Barua, will go to heaven when you die. What is that heaven? What is that looking like for you?
I would hope that there's almost like a sort of like a check-in point, I die.
At the gates.
At the gates. There's a bit of a conversation. Yeah. Do you?
Tick box.
Did you not? Not did you live a good life, but let's have a little chat about your belief system.
And then an elevator down if you didn't quite make it through the checklist.
I don't know. I don't know what. I've not really thought about what would hell look like.
It's pocketed around the planet, I think.
Well, I think it's just like how we're living now, isn't it?
But yeah, so my belief in heaven and hell is biblically based. I mean, my thought process around it is partly, if I'm wrong, well, it hasn't. If I'm wrong, something different. What does it matter? I'm dead.
Absolutely.
If it's
your belief,
yeah. If it's all nothing, well, I won't know that because I'll be dead, and I'll just be in nothing. So what does it matter? And if I'm right, then hopefully might be on Barbados.
Yeah, I think it gives you hope and allows you to cope better with life and what's going to happen next. So what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Do you think you want to be buried, or do you think you want to be cremated? Have you got any thoughts on that?
I would probably like to be buried, I think.
Because that's very, like for me, a lot of Catholics, they like to be buried, don't they?
Because of desecration of the body, yeah.
So,
well, I don't know. Because I want anything useful taken from my body, so I'm not precious about that. If there's anything that, when I die at 100, if there's anything still useful.
Completely worn out,
flattering
about.
Yeah. Would you like this really shit heart? And ironically, I do have high blood pressure, so there's probably not going to be much that they want from
so you can't even put one careful owner.
Yeah. Do you want my eyes? But if there's
and these cataracts to go with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So if there's anything useful that can be taken,
have you done the donor card thing online then?
Yeah.
I think we're automatically opted in now, unless you opt out.
Yeah. So
yeah, in the UK. Yeah.
So it depends if there's anything left. If it's just like, if I'm a weird shell, then maybe just set fire to me. But if I'm not,
who would be preferring
of cremation or just wherever?
Just wherever. If I'm in the garden,
you could do that,
Yeah.
So my point was really, have you thought about your own funeral? Have you thought about any plans for that? So burial would be ideal.
Yep.
And what sort of a funeral would you want?
Oh, I'd really like a strong period of weeping. I'd like a lot of
wear the wearing black.
Yeah, initially.
Be sad, bitches.
Yeah.
I am dead.
Yeah, mourn me. But
we're wearing veils.
Yes,
like a little net.
So she like she's going to be here.
Oh, I'll be 102.
Well, you're a year younger than me, so you'll be
99.
Yeah, you'll be 99. You'll like be wielding on one of those little devices.
Like a match.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah.
Me standing on the back.
Carry a little. The little hoverboard next to me.
Yeah. So, in all seriousness, I do want I want a sad bit and I want like a fun bit.
Yeah.
So I want a
Are they
sad
riding
bit.
the garage track?
Yeah.
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 With a gun finger.
Yeah.
Boom.
Fun cannon. Where everyone just has a laugh afterwards.
Yeah.
But cry first, please.
Cry first.
Some people haven't got. They don't go out anymore, so it'll just be the old people. So the young people will just be on their like iPads or their glasses. They're into.
They're at the funeral virtually.
Yeah. The young people will be like, we don't drink, we don't do anything anymore. Our bodies are temples, and I'd like.
Also, we're not people. We are shimmies.
Let's be PC now. You want to be?
You can be who you want to be. They might be post boxes. Could be anything.
They could be.
But our generation,
Yeah.
cry first,
Cry
and then
first.
get
Gun finger
absolutely
later.
fucked up. Yeah.
Determined with this gun thing.
Yeah, it's a garage thing, isn't it? You see a tune, and you see someone over there. You're like,
With the base face.
Is Craig David younger than me? Can we get Craig David for my funeral?
We can
Oh,
book
only
him.
if he's
Get him
cryogenic frozen, which we've just done an episode.
It might well be. We'll get you booked, Craig.
So Southampton, isn't he? So there's connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we? Is the podcast big enough to specifically request Craig David
Well, we
for
can
my
try.
funeral?
Doing it.
We'll
We'll
try.
hashtag him.
Yeah, hashtag him and tag him in it. I want him. Yeah.
Rewind. You can't. You're dead.
Can you rewrite it for me?
When the crowd say, "Oh,
she's dead now."
Oh God, this is taking a while.
I like it." Have you got a will?
Shit, no.
Get one.
Yeah, I really need one.
There's a really nice guy up the road. I'll give you his number. He'd mind.
Okay.
Not unless he's paying you. You won't give it. Unless he's going to sponsor us. You can't.
Oh yeah,
You
we
can't
need
give
him on the show.
You can't give him
In
the
fact,
detail.
we'll give you his number. If you could just mention the podcast, mention me, and then he'll come on the show. We need to work right space. Yeah, it shouldn't be hard to get. But he's really good. Didn't cost loads, and it's really worth doing. Had it done twice because obviously, bit whimsical. This for an ending. If Harry and I had the wizardry between us to tell you what day and what time and where and all of it you were going to die, would you like to know?
Yes.
Ooh, you're one of the
I'll
few.
get the wizard's book.
Go and get yes. Yeah. You would?
Yeah.
Really?
Do you not think it would give you anxiety? You'd be worried about going up to that
Because
day.
it's only a week Wednesday, you see.
Oh shit.
At the garage on. We can get Craig David for that. He's free.
I could call him myself, Craig. I'm dying in a week.
We'll have to
meet
rush
you.
this to an edit though.
Yeah.
I'm a planner.
Yeah.
I'm a
I could
fucking
tell that from the drawing everything out.
terrible type
Busy
A
bit, yeah.
planner. So if it was nailed on that it was, it was scientific that you could tell me the time, date, and location, then it wouldn't cause me a lot of anxiety. I'd just be like, right, it's part of my plans. It'd probably freak other people out more than me because I'd be like, right, we're doing this because obviously I die in 3 weeks' time. What?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's awesome. What
I really do. And actually, we haven't seen. Well, I don't think we've had anyone be so direct and
they're quite pleased about it. Like I love a deadline.
What do I need to plan in?
She's so goal orientated.
I really am goal orientated.
I love a deadline.
Yeah.
Or a deadline. Whatever.
It would help me plan. If I knew the end point, I'd be like, what do I need to achieve now? And do I need to move my timetable up?
I love that. I think that's great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure.
That sounded a little bit, thank you for being with us.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us. I mean, your time is soon, as we've discussed. So,
Craig David's
it's
on his
been
way.
lovely seeing you today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great.
Been really
to know
good.
you.
Lovely interview. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning into It's a Death Sentence. Please keep listening to our weekly episodes.
And if you like our show, please like, share and subscribe.
We are
dying to talk to you.